All right, we're going to do a blueprint here. Happy Sunday, and welcome to Trendy Options. And we're going to have a great week, okay? So I've written down some rules for myself going into next week, and a couple things. I'm going to slow down on the over trading because the market itself has just tested us for the last several weeks, meaning we've come out very strong into Monday through Wednesday for the last 2 weeks off the top of my head, and then Thursday and Friday pretty much have given it all away. So it's proved to be challenging even for myself, a professional trader, and I can't imagine for anybody out there who's just getting started how this is kind of panned out. So you know what? We're not going anywhere, guys. It, it's important to reserve what capital we have and to be smart about our trading and not to get too involved with thinking that you're going to become rich overnight. Okay, that's not how this works. And so we need to take it step by step. And if you guys have any questions, please reach out to me. I'll be more than happy to try to help you out. Um, don't get discouraged. Okay, do something that makes you feel great and just soak it all in and learn as much as you can. And I'm here to help you do that. Anyway, so here's your blueprint, and we're going to. So this is kind of cool. I'm actually recording this in um, Cisco right now, and I'm also recording it just for myself. And I want to see what the overall presentation is going to look like here. So let's just get into our blueprint going into tomorrow. And I have found these all on separate time frames. I'm going to go through this a little bit slower for you just in case you're new, kind of understand where I'm coming from. So what we're using zones. And on my website, you'll see we called them trendy zones, which is kind of cool, right? And in these trendy zones, we're trying to basically buy on the bottom, and the zones above price are where we typically sell. Now, I think people get confused. Now, if we're shorting anything, equities, futures, whatever, we're shooting for the buy zones. In order to be a good trader, you must know how to trade from the top and the bottom. Okay, so even though you buy here, if you're shorting, you're going for T1, T2, and T3. Now you might ask yourself, why do we have so many targets if price is going in one direction? Well, that's a great question. In order for you to understand this, each one of these targets identify an area where price can bounce potentially very hard. So if you're short, you want to unload some of your position at these targets because of that reason. There's no reason to hold on if we hit T1 and we bounce all the way back up here. Right? Then you lose all your profits. So you want to be disciplined, methodical, sequential about everything we do. All right. So that's what's going on here. I've identified these zones on different time frames, and so they're all going to be different. It does take a while. This one took me about 45 minutes to do my entire chart here. So T1 to the downside here is 2652, which is just roughly about 18, 19 points, somewhere in there. And then T2 being, I want to say, between 2634 and 2630. This is not fresh. What that means is, once upon a time, price has dipped down into this zone, as you can see. Now, if price decides to come back, there are two things that can happen here. So it filled the gap on Friday. All right, so you would want to see if price resorts back down. You want to see a higher low than this low here, typically 88.7 of this low. Okay, and just to kind of identify that for you, it would be roughly, let's see here. Sorry about that. I do that sometimes. All right. It's about 88.7 of that low, which is about right here at 2662. So you could see price come back here and then bounce there. That's what we want to see. We don't want to see this control low broke. Now, if it does break, this control low to break, then we would look for this T1 here. So those are two different things we're thinking about as it happens. Okay, if this breaks, we expect this. Okay, so this also, just like this line up here, you see this yellow? I use this as a cautionary. You could see a pullback from here, just like you could see a bounce from here. So I'm going to go ahead and make that yellow. So it's just like a warning. Hey, if you're short, know that price can bounce here. All right. But if it breaks this gap line right here, this is what this gap fill is, then we know that it's coming down here to T1. Okay. So I hope that kind of helps. So T1 again, 2652. T2 somewhere in here between 2634 and 2630, and of course T3 being a fresh zone on a 3 hour all the way down here at 2620, which gives you about 50 points, 49, 50 points, which kind of falls in range of that average trading range of the SPX and ES lately. Now I do want to say something why we're talking about that right now, and that is that I'm noticing it's a little volatile, but to me, it's getting slower, right? So we're going from these 50, 60 point days to kind of just mid-range, kind of chopping around, taking people out. And maybe, okay, just maybe, it's just a theory here. Maybe we're slowing down, guys. Maybe we can't expect these huge moves. So maybe T2 and T3, the probabilities of hitting those now are just not that achievable, right? So they may not happen. So I just want you to think about that. That is something that's in the back of my head right now. All right. So we got our downside targets here. Now I will tell you this, I'm going to throw myself out there. I took a long position on the ES futures last week and I got my butt handed to me, and there's something that as a trader, I cannot be perfect. I was able to salvage that trade by adding and setting fear aside and using everything I've learned and know where to add, and it helped me get out of the trade without losing so much. All right. So, and what I did not notice though is what I'm trying to say is that some of you in the room brought up the fact that we had a gap, right? So I, on one hand, shouldn't have taken that position. Seeing now that we were headed down into this gap was pretty obvious. Okay, and that was my mistake taking that. Now I know most of you guys aren't ES future traders, but for myself, that was a mistake that I want to be very transparent and make you understand that, when I was looking at a 4 hour, then I went to a 3 hour, then boom, this like stuck out to me. And look at that, we filled it to the T. All right, so this white line here is the gap fill. All right, so to the upside here, let's talk about the LIS, line in the sand. A lot of people over and over ask the same question about this, and that's great because we have a lot of new members coming in. And by the way, we almost have 540 now, and we've just been open just over 5 weeks now. So that's awesome. Average of about 100 people a week. So looking at this, we have the LIS, which is the line in the sand. This is powerful. Ask anybody in the room. It's amazing. You can scalp off of this. You can go long, you can go short. And the way that this works is that if price is above the LIS, it typically works as support. All right. Some people would just call this from the pivot of cash close from the previous day. That's okay. But on futures, this thing is amazing. On the downside, if price, for example, if price opens up below it today, then this is going to act as resistance and you can play a short into these targets with this as being your stop, if that makes any sense. Okay, so during the day, we can use this for the SPX or the SPY and so forth. All right. Um, Above here, we have again a yellow line. So this is more of a caution for you to know that if we are long going into T1 as our position here, then we want to know that price can turn around on us and come right back down here at 2681. Now you might ask, well, John, why aren't you saying T1 is 2681? Well, if you want to treat this as T1, that's fine. Okay. And actually, I need to bring this down just a tad. Okay. I want to be very, very precise on this. Okay. So 2681.21. All right, so in ES futures, I would just say 2681 to call it safe. This is where you might, if you're loaded with more than one position, kind of trail from here, okay, or trim. T1 being here at 2689. All right, pull this down a little. Okay. T2, this also just happens to be the top of the box almost. Okay, this is the 50. You guys remember the 50? We got there. We got there last week, and man, was I hoping we could stay above it, but that didn't happen. All right, and that's kind of common. I told you this is the bell curve. This is where, big money comes out and says, "Nope, I'm not letting you pass this. I'm not letting you get past this." But once again, this is just the bell curve. We expect chop around this, and with some huge earnings coming into the week, maybe we could surpass this and get up here, but we really need those big names to come through for us. Okay. A lot of things going on out there in the world. We got some North Korea news. I was pretty bullish on that news. And then today, there's another tweet from the POTUS, and basically, it's kind of weird. It's just like the bell curve. It's kind of like misleading, right? You don't know if we're going up or down. His tweet's like, well, we're not perfect on North Korea right now. It could be a good thing. It's going to take some time. So now it's like, you have that indecision. Like, okay, is this bullish or is it not? And that's exactly how we feel, all of us, right now. We have no idea, right? And now he's just kind of confirmed that. So for me, I'm just, it's a little frustrating. So again, let me get back up here. So T1 being here at 2689, T2 being here at the 50, 2706. To play it safe, you could say the back of the box, 2704 to 2706. And then looking here a little bit further up, T3 being here at 2726. All right, those are our targets going into this week. All right, all these targets can be hit within the next couple days. Um, One thing to remember, this is pretty cool. So I'm going to go to a 4 hour here, and I apologize for the long blueprint discussion, but I think it's good. All right. What's awesome about this also is that we have a sell zone that happens to fall right in and on the 61.8. And you guys remember how important the 61.8 is. The 61.8 means that we have taken this entire range from the high to the low, right here, this guy right there, from here to here. If we can get above this zone here, then we have broke this downtrend for the time being, right? And we know if we can stay above this and work ourselves into this box, then for me, this is ultimately where I want to be, okay? And you guys know how important the 88.7 is. You understand how powerful it is. Price can come here and then just turn big time, okay? But if we can stay above here, we go to all-time highs. It's pretty amazing. So I want you to take a look at this chart. This is the big picture, okay? Big picture. We're going sideways, guys. And although it looks very easy in here, we know that it's been very difficult to trade this market, okay? Don't ever lose sight of the big picture. Don't get discouraged. Stay in there, and if you have any questions, please reach out to me. I'm more than happy to talk to you one-on-one, whether that's by phone, through Discord, through a screen share, whatever it may be. I'm excited for you guys to be here. I'm excited for this week. I'm excited for the year. We're going to do amazing. And yeah, so there's your blueprint into the ES. Use it for the SPX and the SPY. If you guys have any new questions, any new members in the room, please reach out. Have a great weekend.